another edition of the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview. I am Gino Buccola alongside Alexa Zepp. We got producer Mike, we got producer Bobby backstage pulling the strings of the production on this one. Alexa, we're going to be out at Churchill Downs this week. We'll take a look at one of two graded stakes races out there, a Churchill Pick 5, and then we'll head on over east to Aquaduct, talk about some state breds and some New York Sire Stakes action. So one thing that you always point out, we get into some of the biggest races, but horse racing from top to bottom is not always just about the best and the biggest graded stakes races, right?
Right. It's really interesting. So a big thing in horse racing is the state that your horse is bred in. And wherever your horse is bred, if that state has a nice program, they're going to have races that you're specifically eligible for that just if you're bred there. So that's what we're going to be looking at in New York.
Yeah, a lot of incentives to try to keep horses and to keep connections local, so that way you can have nice rivalries built up and you can start to become real fans of those horses. So our final segment today will focus on what's happening over in New York. But for our first segment, let's get over to Churchill Downs. Let's take a look at race number 8 on Saturday. This one is the Grade 3 Chaluki. There is a really nice horse in here that's probably going to take a lot of the money, and I think they'll all have to really be on their A game, Alexa, to try to beat that one. So let's meet the field here, and we start with the number 1, Amonra. This is a group of fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They will be going the 1 mile. It's a 1-turn dirt mile. So kind of the in-between race. They're not sprinting, but they're not really going a distance. So it's that, how far can some of these fillies and mares get the distance? Number 1, Amonra, is graded stakes placed. Actually ran into the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint winner last time out. She was behind Soul of an Angel when she raced in the Princess Rooney. What do you think about Amonra and her chances in here?
You know, Amonra is interesting. The last 4 running lines, it has been against some tough competition, but say Outkicked, No Bid, Empty, and Flattened. So I would say, this field's going to be a bit easier, but that's not super promising. I think they really, really want this filly to be a stakes filly. They've been running her in graded races or named stakes races for the last year and a half, and she's pulled off a couple places, but hasn't really been able to hit the board a whole lot, and her figures aren't improving. So personally, I think they probably need to class drop and let go of, the stakes dream here. But it is a homebred, and they're way net head on this horse, and they're probably going for that black type, which, especially for a filly, it means a lot for, value of a horse and breeding later on.
The number 2 is probably one of my favorite horses' names to say. I go with Peagle every time we get a chance to talk about this one, who's just really, really consistent, versatile, and these are the horses that I really like as a fan, because while she doesn't have overwhelming speed figures, Alexa, she's just really honest. She's really tough. It seems like every time she races, she shows up and she gives you as good of a account of herself as possible. And sometimes it's good enough. Other times she runs into tough foes, but I'm always pretty convinced that she's going to go out and do her best. And that's what you like as a fan, as a gambler, kind of knowing what you're going to get from a horse.
Yeah, I would have said Pagale, but I like yours way better.
Yeah.
So we'll go with Pagale.
Peagle.
But you're right. It's an interesting horse in here. Time for Us gives her the fastest early rating. And while she has 1-2 races on the front end, her other 3 wins have come from being off the pace. So I think she's a lot more versatile than this time form profile and pace projector is suggesting in here. She would need a pretty big improvement, I think, to be really competitive against some of these tough ones, but it's not out of reach.
The number 3, Taxed. She's actually a grade 2 winner. Her claim to fame came a couple years back, or actually last year, when she won the Black-Eyed Susan in May of 2023. So that was her big win that kind of stamped her on the main stage. She's proven at Churchill, but she's another who, she's fine. She's just not really progressed a whole lot from last year.
Yeah, she hasn't progressed a whole lot, but it's been against really tough competition. I think this is going to be a much easier spot. Some of the horses she's been running against are like Scylla, ran 1 1/4 lengths behind in June at Churchill, but then went on to put in a good effort in some really big races. So I do think Taxed is really talented and is a legit play in here at 4-1 odds.
The horse to beat is the number 4, Too Sharp. I think you and I both agree on that. She's just done nothing wrong in her 4 races so far. She's won 2 of them. The other 2 she lost, but she finished second. One of those races that she lost was in a graded stakes race to a horse named Brightwork, who is a grade 1 winner. Now, the question or our concerns would be Too Sharp has never gone this far. So she has to prove that she wants to go a mile, but she'll put the blinkers on. And as we look at the pace projector, Alexa, it's like the perfect spot for her to test the waters here, because there shouldn't be all that much other speed pushing her up front. She really should be able to kind of have the race like her own way and dictate things.
Yeah, she's going to be very tough to beat. When I was handicapping this race, I actually do think it's pretty competitive other than this one, but
Yeah.
but she's going to be really tough. Time from US gives her an early rating of 130, which is wild, really fast, gone off the favorite every time, and just has that big early speed. So, they bought her for 925,000, and so far she's living up to the expectations.
And I like the way you sort of map that out. It does feel like she's a little bit above the rest of the field. Then the rest of the field is all competitive. So if she doesn't show up with her A game, there are some others that can beat her. But if she does show up with that best effort, I think they'll probably all be running for second. Royal Spa, the number 5, is a horse who's I've tried to get to a couple times, Alexa. She's just been a little overmatched when she's faced graded stakes company and been in against this tough.
Yeah, this is another homebred who I think is being a bit ambitiously placed. She is coming off her lifetime best figure. But last week in our third segment, I talked a little bit about interpreting those PPs a little more in depth. And I mentioned some scenarios where I would upgrade or downgrade a performance. And if you look at that lifetime best figure, that race was actually color coded blue, which means the pace was kind of slow and should give the advantage to whoever was sitting on the front end. And she was sitting right off the lead the whole time and failed to kind of seal the deal. So for me, I would kind of downgrade that lifetime best performance.
You and I both like the number 6 a little bit here, Positano Sunset. I thought that she kind of just got caught up on the front end last time out. I feel like she's a lot better tracking behind horses, and that'll be the case in here, right? She's not going to be in front of the number 4, so she'll be sitting behind and trying to run down the horse that you and I think is the one to catch. So maybe we can get Positano Sunset to come and run her down, and is that how you're kind of seeing this race play out?
That's how I'm seeing it. Positano Sunset has a really good career going this year, running against really tough horses. Vava, Society, both of whom were in the Breeders' Cup this year. This is going to be an easier spot, in my opinion, and she's proven to handle a lot of different pace scenarios. I first handicapped this race early in the week when the odds had not come out yet, and I thought Positano Sunset was going to be second favorite.
I agree.
Too Sharp. And so if they were going to be really close in odds, I was going to lean Too Sharp, but at 10-1, this is a play, in my opinion.
If there's any value in this race, I think it's probably with this horse here. I completely agree. The number 7 of Voix is the next one we get to. This is a sharp horse, Alexa, who just likes to win races, a 17-time winner, but has done the bulk of their work against softer. This is an Illinois bred. So one of those moments where you kind of step up, you have to face open company, you have to face a little bit better. Where do you think they stack up here?
Well, I'm glad you said the name right, because I was not going to say it right. But this horse is actually interesting. I didn't use her in my selections, but I can totally make a case for her. She's only won 3 races this year, but they've been the 3 races she's run on the dirt, and she won those convincingly. So this does seem to be a preferred surface. Those races were sprints. This is a mile. But she did get 3rd place in last year's edition of the Chaluki behind by 8 lengths.
The outside runner Fancy is proven at Churchill, is proven at a mile, and is a horse who has a little bit of tactical speed. Do you fancy Fancy?
Fancy I actually left off, but again, this race is competitive. You can make a steadily improving 4-year-old filly, gotten first or second in 60% of her races. This is going to be a big class test, though. So, she could rise to the occasion and make a big run, but she did run a neck behind your favorite name in here, Pagale, 2 back in August.
So the way we map this race out when we move to our selections, you and I both had the 6 Positano Sunset on top of the 4 as like the horse to bet and the horse to beat, like those 2. And then we threw in a couple undervalue plays underneath. So for myself, I'm going to go Positano Sunset 6-4-2-7. For Alexa, 6-4-3-2. Mentioning taxed, we both have Peagle underneath. But as we get set for our first commercial break, when we return, we'll take a look at this pick 5. We're going to dive into the pick 5 sequence. But don't forget, folks, as we get ready and closer to Black Friday, we have an offer for you right now, a Black Friday sale. Go to shop.drf.com and use the coupon code BF2024 to get 20% off DRF past performances and other must-have handicapping data and info all the way through December the 2nd.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be beautiful.
What a level.
Big kick.
How did she take Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco, she will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine.
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Needing some punches.
Watch the back of the head, quick. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course
yes,
we are.
We are. Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46, I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg!
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
It's time to talk Pick 5, and for this week, we're going to head out to Churchill Downs. We've been out at Churchill Downs the last few weeks. I got to say, Alexa, they've had some really strong cards over the last month or so out at Churchill Downs. So let's take a look at the Pick 5 races 7 through 11. If you want to follow along with us, we're going to be looking Saturday, November the 23rd, and we'll start in race number 7. Remember, this is our version of like a 5-team parlay. We have to have the winner of every race along the way. A couple weeks ago, we were able to score for over $5,000, and we only invested like $75 or so when it was all said and done after scratches. So let's see if we can get another one this weekend, Alexa, and we'll start in race number 7. This one is a maiden special weight race, so for horses who have never won a race yet. And we're going to use a couple in here. The one that I'm going to start out with is the number 5, who will be a little more of a long shot. The name is Restless Renegade. We know these connections, though. This is the trainer, Ken McPeak, and Brian Hernandez Jr. These are the same connections of Mystic Dan, Torpedo Anna, who have had an incredible year this year. So when you look at the number 5, Restless Renegade, I think this is a horse who can really step forward with some racing experience. I thought that debut race was a little bit better than it looks on paper. So I wanted to throw him in at a bit of a price, Alexa. We'll use the 5 along with a couple other logical horses. Talk to us about some of the others that we have.
Well, I don't know how logical the 6 is, oh please, at 30-1, but I just had to throw this horse in here. So he's only been out one time on the grass at Horseshoe, Indiana, and I watched the replay, and when they were coming around the final turn, he just bolted and ran for the barns instead of the finish line. So he did not finish the race. He's a gelding at 2, so it makes sense that maybe he's a little bit hard to handle, but he was moving really well before he bolted out of the race, passing horses, and he's also by complexity. He's one of the leading new sires. His horses are outperforming averages by a lot in almost every category. So to top it all off, has a really quick workout last week. We'll also use the number 7, C Vista, 5-2.
Probably the horse to beat, right? The 7.
Morning line favorite, makes sense. Debuted in August at Saratoga, ran really fast speed figure for a 2-year-old on debut. So that was also in the mud, so we could definitely see improvement again.
So we have the 7, who will be a short price, and then we have a couple big prices in here. Maybe we can get things started with some nice value right off the bat. As we flip the page to race number 8, this is the second leg of the Pick 5 sequence, and we just went through this race, Alexa. We went horse by horse. So why don't you give everybody a recap real quick? We're going to use 2 horses in this race, right?
Yep, we're going to use the favorite that we talked about, Too Sharp, the number 4 at 2-1 odds, that $925,000 purchase, who has never done worse than second and will be tough to beat. And then also the 6, Positano Sunset at 10-1 odds, better long shot in here, who's been running really well against some of the best in the country and has proven to handle different pace scenarios.
Race 9 at Churchill on Saturday was such a challenging allowance race. I mean, you can use so many horses in this race. We ended up going 4 deep in here, Alexa, and I thought we could still use like 4 or 5 others and probably not even feel confident in this race. But start us off, I think you're going to talk a little bit about Colorado Cruiser, right?
Colorado Cruiser and the number 3 Attaché. This horse is a fan of Churchill Downs, made 7 of his 13 lifetime starts there, and has won 3 and hit the board in 6 out of the 7. Time from US predicts he's going to track the fast pace of the 4, the Colorado Cruiser, and ultimately grind them down to win. He is, however, cross-entered at Churchill Downs on Sunday, so he could end up scratching. And he does lose his typical rider, Rafael Bejarano, to the aforementioned Colorado Cruiser, the number 4. So we will use that horse at 10-1 odds, a longer price, who has the fastest early pace rating and has a few new things going for him. First time out with new trainer Doug O'Neill, first time Lasix, and they're putting the blinkers on. So I do think they will likely try to send this horse to the front. He's had a long time off, but looks really fit, has a bunch of bullet work. So I'm hoping he gets the pace advantage and wires the field.
I think we'll actually end up using 5 total horses in this race because Alexa mentioned the 3, the 4, the 5. Risk It is a horse who I thought is a little bit of a price play, some value that you could offer here. And then you get towards the outside. The 9, Banned for Life, is coming off of a really good performance last time out, lost to a runaway winner at Keeneland. And then the number 11, Agoo, is a horse who's coming off of a second place finish last time out. I feel like that's like the Adam Sandler goo. That's what he says sometimes when he's having fun. But as challenging of a race as you will find. I had so much fun handicapping this one. We had to go 5 deep in here, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 11 to try to get through race number 9. We flipped the page to race number 10. Alexa, this is the second of the 2 graded stakes races in the sequence. You're going to get us started here with the horse from the inside, who we hope to show some good speed down there.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a stronger, skinnier opinion in this race, so we're only using 2 horses. My Boy Prince, most of his career has been up in Canada at Woodbine, where he had an incredible 3-year-old year, winning 3 of their big stakes races in a row this summer and got second in the King's Plate. This was, a lot of this was on synthetic, and then ran an impressive figure out on the grass in the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile. Even though the competition there was just a little too tough for him, still a good performance. He did take a step back in the Grade 3 at Keeneland, last out, led the whole way, and then just caved at the end, but ran super, super fast fractions that race. I mean, like unsustainably fast. So I think if they can reserve his speed a little bit more, it should be very competitive in here.
That's the key. Can they just ration it out a little bit? Because he shouldn't have too much other pace pressure in here. My Boy Prince on the ticket for us. Super Logicals, Dashman, and Langios, who gets a big jockey upgrade because Flavian Pratt's going to jump aboard for a horse who's had some trouble trips repeatedly. So if we can get through there, Alexa, we'll come down to race number 11. We'll be 2 deep trying to close it out in race number 11. The number 3, Girl Math, I think is going to be a super logical player. So you can talk a little bit about the 3 and I'll hit on the 7 a bit.
Yeah, Girl Math, the favorite, likely pace setter in this race that might not have a ton of other pace, ran with the same conditions last out about 4 weeks ago at Churchill, went off the favorite and lost by a neck. So from that, we know that she is capable of winning this condition at this level.
Well, I hope we can start the pick 5 sequence with a McPeak Brian Hernandez horse, and then we can finish it with a McPeak Brian Hernandez horse. That's the number 7, Golden Gamble, who will also be making their second start. So I'll try to ride on some of those hot connections who have had such a fantastic 2024 with these young horses, and hopefully they can get the cycle all started again with the young horses here, as this is a 2-year-old race to close it out on Saturday. So let's take a look at the ticket. When we put it all together, Alexa, I think it was $90 that we mapped it out, and we didn't have any singles. We have a couple races where we could try to beat some of the heavy favorites, but I thought a pretty nice ticket that we've put together. So, we've done pretty good work the last few weeks, and even when we haven't hit, we've led some people to some really big prices. So remember, if you want to play along, Saturday, late pick 5, Churchill Downs, race number 7. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we head on out to Aquaduct.
together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
For our final segment this week, we're going to head on out to Aquaduct as we take a look at a couple of Sire Stakes races for New York breds. What's important about these races, Alexa, is when you have races like this in each individual state or jurisdiction, the horses are able to stay in these races and get bumped up purses as incentives. They want to try to keep the local horses local, so horses that maybe don't get to run for as much money as they normally would, they'll get boosted. This is a race that's a purse. We'll talk about race number 7 on Saturday at Aqueduct, one of the New York Stallion series. It's a $125,000 purse. This is normally a race that would probably have maybe like an $80,000, $90,000 purse, and it wouldn't be a stakes race. But these horses get to run for stakes placing, which could be very impactful for breeding. You know quite a bit about the breeding operation, and just to give horses and connections an opportunity to run for bigger money and to be local. So I just love state bred programs, breeding incentives, and anytime we can get a chance to plug a few races like this, I thought we could take a quick look at some of these fun races on Saturday at Aqueduct.
Absolutely. All the programs are a really great part of racing that a lot of people don't even know about. So this first one is race 7.
Yep,
and
on Saturday, right?
On Saturday, absolutely, up at Aqueduct. And I like the 6 in here, My Shady Lady. 5-1 morning line odds, interesting contender who has targeted a lot of these New York Stallion Series stakes in her career and actually won 2 divisions, bringing in nearly $500,000 in earnings so far. And seeing what her trainer has done so far, it makes sense to assume that this race has been the goal, and they're cutting back a distance from 1 1/8, 2.7 furlongs. So I like that cut back. Also, the number 7, Athena Beach, at 3-1 odds, should get an easy lead in the race.
Look at the projector, right? She's way up front, as we can see.
Yeah, fast outside draw is going to help with that. She'll get some pace pressure from the 2, probably, I think, Sunday Girl, but I could definitely see this playing out with her wire in the field.
And for me, I'm going to take a look at the 3 Kali Magic a little bit. Actually, shout out to producer Bobby. Bobby's had to hear me talk about these races on the DRF YouTube channel, also over here. So he's been hearing me talk all about the New York races. I think Kali Magic could sit a nice trip, just like where they have Kali Magic projected, like 3rd or 4th, and maybe be one of those horses that takes advantage if a horse like Athena Beach gets a little bit tired up front. So I was looking at like the 3 and the 4 as the horses that might be able to get the really nice trips in the middle of the pack and then kind of stalk and pounce here in race number 7. So that's a look at the first of 2 of the Sire Stakes races on Saturday. Let's flip the page and take a look at race number 8. So we just looked at the filly and mare sprinters. Now we get to flip over and take a look at the boys here going 7 furlongs. In this one, Alexa, just kind of looking at some of the major players in here, the number 6 Antonio of Venice is the horse to beat, but he got hurt earlier in the year, so he has not raced since April. So when you have horses coming off of long layoffs like this, you always have to be a little trepidatious with them because you're not exactly sure if they're going to come back the same way that we saw them, right? Horses are not robots. They're creatures of they're individuals, right? They can get sick, they can have little things that are different, but this is a horse to kind of start the conversation with. He's probably not one to bet, though. You have a couple others in here that you might be looking to play.
Yeah, I do think Antonio of Venice is going to be the toughest in here. I understand he's had an injury, but training well. And if you see on the time form projector, it says favors front runners and should have the best early speed. But my next choice would be the number 5 Lightman at 4.5 to 1 odds or plus 450. This horse is improving form and also had a year and a half off before coming back this January, and during that time dealt with a bone chip in his knee, 2 cases of bone bruising, which I always compare to shin splints, and a nearly fatal infection. So he's on a comeback tour and has run 7 races this year, won 4 of them, never missed the board. So this would really kind of be an epic finale to his 4-year-old campaign if he can come back and pull it off.
As we look at the projector here, for me, when I'm handicapping the races, whenever I'm doing my prep work and my research, I always have to have it mapped out in my head. I have to be able to kind of see it. How is it going to play out? And for me, when I was looking at this race, I went to the number 4, Ciciabello, because I sort of think what the projector thinks here. I think Ciciabello might be able to be sitting in a really good spot, like 3rd or 4th. And if Antonio of Venice is a little bit short, is a little bit tired because he has not run since April, the 4 Ciciabello might be one of those horses that can benefit most. And Alexa, you and I have the horses that are kind of sitting right next to each other again, right? We're looking for horses that are going to be in that spot in case a horse like Antonio of Venice gets a little bit tired, and our horses can capitalize. The number 3, Doc Sullivan, is one they'll all have to hold off in here. Another one of the horses to beat in this one. But just a quick look at 2 Sire Stakes races out in New York this weekend. We love to bounce around as much as we can. Don't forget, next week, it's the holiday. It's Thanksgiving, and I do not believe we're going to have a live show next week, but you want to remember to take advantage of the big Black Friday sale right now, all the way through December 2nd. Use the coupon code right there, BF2020.
What else do you need in your life? Are you not entertained coming along with us here on the SportsGrid Network?
They have regressed horrifically in the 3 years that he's been in charge. They are a disaster. They are a sinking ship.
Casey, why you bugging?
Who I must ask, did you see Caitlin Clark, by the way, Dubsy, nearly take a couple of people's heads off with her tee shot today? I mean, how great was that?
I've never seen anything close to the Sharpin on the golf course until I saw that video of Caitlin Clark.
They are anemic. They can't stop a runny nose. Their defense is as bad as the Jets.
I don't know how anybody looks at the Jets and wants to lay anything with them except lay down and just, and die at this point here, Ben.
The Jets will always jet.
I hate them. Give me Duke minus a 6.5 tonight.
Now we live in a society. Oh, it's not fair. We need 12 teams. It's not fair. We're going to have 16 teams, 24 teams. What the hell are we doing here?
I think UConn actually wins the national championship if they can stay healthy. Little side note for everybody.
In women.
South Carolina.
All right.
Big favorite.
Oh, no. In both.
Kentucky going to fall off that map, man. Don't worry about it. Flat Earth, they fall right off, Kyrie Irving style.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the Dallas Cowboys, and they're ran like a Pee-wee football team. Yep. I can't believe this.
Like people enjoy saying Knickerbockers. Well, like Bucks,
like
who says
saying
Buccaneers?
Knickerbockers except you.
Losing to who? The Detroit Pistons? What? How do you do this one, Spoke? Come on.
He's going to give deference to Georgia because of the G on the side of the helmet. I certainly understand that.
Those of you that watch us every night, we really do appreciate you.
Only on SportsGrid.